Okay, so in this video, we'll be working on the March 2019 paper, question paper 3.1. Okay, and we are also going to focus on the data analysis part of the paper, which is your Microsoft Excel on task number 3. Okay, so I'm just going to open the paper first, and then I'm just going to save the evidence so that it will be easier for me to work with later. All right. So remember that every time you work on the evidence document, there will definitely be questions asking you to set your name, center number, and candidate number in the header or the footer, and then they will always ask you to save it in the format of the application you are using to edit it. So you always have to save it as a Word document. All right. So I'm going to save that. Okay, so let's look at page number 6, all right? Question 15. So you are going to prepare a spreadsheet model for use by employees of glorious gardens. Okay, so which paper are we working on? Oh, it's the same paper. All right, open these files in a spreadsheet package and examine their contents. In the tree spreadsheet, place your name, center number, and candidate number on the right in the header and automated file name, including the file path, on the left in the header. All right, so I'm just going to open all three, right? So open the category spreadsheet. Just going to resize everything so I can see trees as well. And then there we go. All right, so we are working on the trees spreadsheet, right? So this is the main spreadsheet, and what you do with the main spreadsheet is you always have to remember to save it as a Excel workbook. Now the reason why you are doing that is because a CSV file can only store text. So it will not store your formatting, as you can see in question 16. It will not store your formulas that you enter. It will not store the size of your cells or rows or columns and any other additional settings that you put. Okay, so let me see whether the question requires you to save it as a different file name or not. Doesn't look like it, so I'll just save it as an Excel workbook. Okay, so place your name, center number, and candidate number on the right in the header. So I'm just going to insert under text here. I'm going to select header and footer. This is very important because if you don't have headers or footers that contain your name, center number, and candidate number, your printouts that you do during trials and during the actual IGCSE ICT examination will not be handed to you. All right, so I'm going to put my name, center number, and candidate number. And then an automated file name, including the file path left in the footer. So I'm going to scroll all the way down to the footer here. And then under design as well, I'm going to put file path and file name, right? So I'm going to put, oops, my bad, file path and the file name. So if you select file path, it will actually insert both the file path and the file name. So when I click somewhere else, it's actually going to show me the file path and file name of my file. So file path is where my file is being stored. The file name is the name of my file lah. Okay, let's look at question 16. Right, in the tree spreadsheet, insert 3 new rows before row number 1. So I'm just going to right click on row number 1 here. I'm going to go to insert, insert, and insert. Okay, edit the file so that it looks like this. So if you look here, you will notice that the first row, A1 to M1, is actually merged, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch back to normal first, because once you put in the header and footer, it's actually going to show you how your spreadsheet will look like if you print it out. So I'm just going to go to normal here. Okay, so it's easier for me and my screen is small, right? So A1 to M1 all the way here, and then I'm just going to merge and center the thing, and then I'm going to type glorious gardens. Okay, so it looks like a sans serif font. Okay, so my favorite is Arial, right? I'm gonna italic the thing, gonna bold the thing. Then if you see the background color is kind of grayish, so I'm going to change that to okay. The font is white, and I'm going to increase the size of the font. Okay, there you go. Then if you look at the second row, you will notice that native British trees and shrubs is also merged. So I'm going to select all the cells here and merge the cells. But this time I'm going to align the data. I'm going to type native British trees and shrubs. Okay. Then I'm going to bold the fella, bold it, right? And then I'm going to set it to Arial as well. And then I'm going to increase the size a little bit. Okay. Then you notice that the third row is partially hidden again, right? So I'm going to move it up a little bit so that it's partially hidden like so. And then the fourth row, you will notice that the headers are actually bold, right? So I'm going to bold the headers. See whether I need to change anything here. Don't look like it. Yeah, that's about it. Okay, save this as a spreadsheet with a file name trees followed by your center number and candidate number. Whoops. Okay, anyway, save as. My for 1, 2, 3. Okay, so let's look at question 17, right? Take a screenshot showing only cells A1 to M5 of your spreadsheet, including the row and column headings. Make the content of all the cells visible. So A1 to M5. So A1 all the way to M5. So they want you to take a screenshot of this. Okay, so you can use a snipping tool if you want to, right? Or you can use the print screen function. So I'm going to use the snipping tool. So A1 to M5. Okay, let's see whether my trackpad works for me or not this time. Yes. Yeah. A1 to M5. Okay. So I'm going to copy that, go to my evidence document. It's in evidence 7. I'm going to paste it here. Okay, so if you guys want to use your print screen function, that's fine as well. All right, so both ways will work. Okay, number 18 now. Enter a function in cell D5, right, to look up the type of tree or shrub from the source file category. Do not edit this file. Okay, so let's have a look at category first, right? So you'll notice that the size categories are represented by LT, MT, ST and all that. And you actually see that the values actually appear in the code, right? So if that's the case, then you need to use a VLOOKUP function, okay, with the code as the lookup value. All right, comma. Then it's going to ask you where to get the data from. So I'm getting it from the category portion. Okay, then it says the type, right? So the type is the column index number, right? So which column is the type in? The first, second, or third? Obviously, it's the second. So I'm going to put 2, and then I'm going to say I want it as an exact match. So once I do that, right, you will notice that for the category, LT actually stands for large tree. Okay, do not edit the source file. Okay, done. So the L code, T code, and D code columns hold codes for whether a tree or shrub likes, tolerates, or dislikes certain environmental factors. Ooh. Enter functions in cells I5, J5, and K5 to look up the environmental factors from the source file treecodes.csv. Excuse me. Do not edit this source file. Make sure that when the functions are used, they do not display any error messages. Okay, so I5, J5, and K5, and you need to refer to the file treecodes. Let's see how that works. Okay, simple. So equals to, I'm going to type it here, VLOOKUP again. So this time the lookup value, right, is the L code, right? L for like, T for tolerates, D for dislikes, D. Okay, comma. And where do you get it from? You actually get it from tree codes, right? So again, you are getting the data from this table. Put in a comma. And the environmental factors are actually in the second column, right? So you type 2, comma, and then you want an exact match. Okay, so what I can do here is, because you can use relative cell referencing, what I can do is I can actually use the fill handle and drag it over. However, the question says, make sure that when the functions are used, they do not display any error messages. Okay, so why it displays an error message is because it is referring to a lookup code. It's referring to a lookup value, okay, that doesn't exist because it's empty. So how can I stop the issue? So I can use an if function. So if the value here is empty, then I will not display anything. However, if the value is not empty, then I will take the value and display the result of my VLOOKUP function. Okay, so what I can do after this is I can take this and apply this across. Okay, so because it's relative cell referencing, when my function moves, the reference to the cell moves as well. Okay, so that's handle. Alright, so replicate the functions entered in step 18 and 19 so that the results are displayed for all trees. So 18 to 19. So I'm just going to replicate this. I'm just going to double click on it, see whether it kachaos anything or not. Okay, all good. I'm going to resize this. Then I'm going to do the same thing to all the likes, tolerates, and dislikes. Oops. Okay. Okay, everything looks good. Okay, I'm going to save this. Right. Number 21, hide columns C, F, G, and H. So I'm going to select column C, F, G, and H. And then I'm going to right click and I'm going to select hide. So save and print the spreadsheet showing the values. Make sure only row 1 to 29 are visible. Okay, so I'm just going to select row 1 all the way to 29. Okay, so I'm going to go to print. Oops. And then I'm going to change this to print selection. Okay, so print selection means I'm just going to print what I selected, right? It is in landscape orientation. There you go. Row and column headings are displayed. So I'm going to switch to sheet here. Okay, row and column headings. The content of all cells are fully visible. Now, it did not say that everything should fit in one page, so it can extend across 2 pages. Oh, my bad. The question says showing the formula. My bad. Okay, so I need to display the formula first. Whoops, sorry. So formula, okay, I need to show the formula. And we need to make sure that all the formulas can be seen. Now, if you look at this particular cell, you notice that the VLOOKUP is partially hidden. Okay, this is a problem because if you don't fully display your formula, you're going to lose marks. And the examiner will only award you marks based on what portion of the formula can be seen. Okay, so I'm just going to double click on the cells here to resize everything and make sure all the data can be seen, including the VLOOKUP. Now, why did I not go to select all and double click on the column separators to resize the data? Now, the reason being, if I do that, okay, the columns that I've hidden will appear again. Okay, so I'm just doing this manually. But if you want to do it by selecting all and resizing everything over again, yes, you can do that. But you will need to hide the columns again manually. Okay, so let's see, A1 to row 1 to 29. Okay, let's see whether I left out anything or not. Okay, let's go to the print function again. Okay, all good. All right, functions are shown, nothing is hidden. Okay, so once you're confident with that, you can just print it. Okay, but again, I'm just demonstrating it. So for your test 2, you don't need to really print it to the send it to the printer. Just print as a PDF and save it into your student drive. Okay, but for your trials as well as the actual IGCSE ICT examination, you will need to actually send it to the printer. Okay, and the only way for your printout to be handed to you is for your printouts to contain your name, center number, and candidate number. Same thing with your test 2. If you've printed out the PDF, but it does not contain your name, center number, and candidate number, you will not be awarded any marks. Right? Done. Let us move on to question 23. Create a spreadsheet extract from the data to show trees or shrubs that are a small tree, a large shrub, or medium shrub, evergreen. The extracts must display only the common name, likes, tolerates, I keep spelling that wrong, dislikes, evergreen, and notes. So print the spreadsheet extract showing the values. Okay, so I'm going to toggle it back by selecting show formula again so that it only shows the values. And then I'm going to resize the columns again to make sure that everything is aligned correctly. Yeah. Okay, let's see. All right, everything looks good. So create a spreadsheet extract means use the sort and filter function. Okay, it doesn't mean you need to create a report or whatever. Okay, or it also doesn't mean that you need to create a new file. So I'm just going to apply a sort and filter function by going to home, highlighting the field headers, right? Okay, and then I'm going to select filter. So it wants a small tree, large shrub, or medium shrub. Okay, it's going to select here. So large shrub, small tree, right? Or medium shrub. Okay, and then it needs to be evergreen. So yes for evergreen. Okay, there you go. So print the spreadsheet extract showing the values, right? So making sure printout fits on a single page, and the header, footer, and content of all of the specified cells are fully visible. So I'm going to go to print. Okay, make sure I select print active sheet. Okay, because I need everything to be displayed, and then it needs everything to fit on one page. Now, obviously, if you fit everything on a landscape page, okay, and the data being displayed is horizontal. Okay. Yeah, let's try to switch it to portrait and see. Oh, that's even worse. Never mind. Okay, let's keep it to landscape. Okay, so once you're done, you can actually print it. All right. So in this paper, I think one of the most important lessons to take away is the extract. Okay, and extract is basically sort and filter. That's it. Right?